Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the European Racing Series Grand Prix here in Belgium. I'm Ben Raggy McConnell, and joining me on the caster's desk is the legendary Jamie Caster Elder. How you doing?
I'm not too shabby, man. How are you?
I am not too shabby indeed. I mean, look at it. We're in Spa. You know, it's easily one of the most legendary circuits to have ever existed, and obviously it features two of the most important corners also to have ever existed in Eau Rouge and Radion, actually. Why? What's the other? Well, I suppose
Three corners there.
Well, yeah, all right, okay. You got the two for Eau Rouge and then one up the top for Blanche. Yeah, so for Radion.
No, that's the other side of the
I
track.
said Radion, goddammit, all right. Moving forwards. Anyway, 17 drivers on track, and a lot of these drivers are actually insanely quick paced. And Amkasa, straight off the bat, what's your top three for qualifying?
Well, this is interesting. I've been given a weather forecast, which could affect how people handle qualifying.
Yeah, I've seen it too.
It is going to be a wet start going into a dry race. It's light rain, so it should disappear quickly, but that means everyone's going to be going out on softs, trying to do the quick lap. So we'll have a fair grid. But will anyone fancy a little bit more of a dry setup? We're going to find that out as we go. Or a wet setup, sorry. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
But I think, let's have a look who we've got. We got Yonti, championship leader. He's here. Is Brownie here? Yes, he's here. Second place in the championship. Fragioko, after a second place last week, I'm really annoyed I missed that. I've been cheering him on all season. He's finally getting some good results. I missed it.
Yeah.
Jorn as well. He looks good. He's looked very good, actually. He's won the last two races. So let's go. Yonti, Jorn, Spicy. Yonti, Jorn, Spicy.
Okay. I mean, I'm agreeing with you for the most part. The first two choices, I think, yeah, you're pretty much bang on the head there. I mean, Jorn has been better in terms of qualifying pace than Yonti has, well, at least from my memory. So I think Jorn will take it. I think Jorn's going to take pole position today. But again, it does come down to the sort of the car setup that they go for. Is it going to be a wet setup, or are they going to go for a dry setup? Well, we only know that it's a wet start. We don't know what it's going to be like post that. Is it going to dry out and we might see people going out on softs again, or, you know, we really don't know.
I've been told it's going to be a wet start to dry.
Good. When
that comes is the important factor. If that comes at the very end of the race, then it's going to be a wet race, so people are going to be having a wet setup on their car now. If it's going to be wet start for the first 3 or 4 laps, and this is only a 22-lap race, so 3 or 4 is actually quite a long distance, then that's a completely different ball game.
So Jorn's just started a hot lap, but yeah, just going back to, well, that was it. That's in terms of going back to it. Jorn, I think, is obviously going to be P1.
Oh.
I think Yonti P2, but P3, I don't know. Dan has been really fast. I mean, I've been racing with him a fair bit lately, and he's just on some next level kind of pace at the minute. So I think he's going to get podium today. P3, I think, is where he's going to sit at the end of the quali, but we need to do a hot lap with someone. Should we do it with Brownie?
Where is he?
Home straight right now, just started.
Well, that's a perfect time to start then. So keep it to the left. It's come towards the source. Tight hairpin. Going to be a massive concertina effect in the race into that corner. Get on the power as soon as you dare as you go downhill, down through a little kink of turn 2 towards the aforementioned Eau Rouge. Left, right, and left at the top through Radion. And keep that throttle pinned as much as you dare through all that. DRS wide open, you go through a kink of turn 6 onto the Camel Straight as we come up to 110 miles an hour. Breaking point for Licum, just about 75 to 50, 100 meters back, depending how brave you're feeling really at the end of the day. Through turn 9, don't run too wide because there's a little bit of grass out there which will ruin things. Turn 10, Rivage, the long downhill right-hander, keeps going and going and going. If you want to keep it back to the right-hand side, you throw it into turn 11. Don't run too far on the exit there because that wall is mighty close. As we come up now to the next set of famous corners, Pooh on the double left-hander, taking as much speed as you dare once again through this. I think that's the story of this lap, is just carry as much speed as you can through 13 into 14, which is Campus, and then pin the throttle as you come up to Stavlo turn 15 and the end of sector 2. Keep it to the left as you got turn 16. Now this is a nasty corner. That wall just there on the left catches you out if you just run a little bit wide, and we might see that in the rain here today during the race. Turn 17, little kink, not much to it. Turn 18, Blanchimont, keep that throttle pinned, do not lift. And as you come up towards the final 2 corners, the bus stop chicane, the chicane, 19, and in the pits. Thank you, Brownie.
Into the pits
But
he goes.
they always do, though, don't they? They
Yeah.
know we're watching them.
Every time we go for any sort of hot lap rundown, it always happens. But Baker is looking like he's going to finish this lap. It's going through bus stop chicane now. Final corner right there. Got a relatively good entry. Really solid exit. Is it going to be a 144, 143, 143.5? Baker's actually up a lot further than I originally anticipated.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my timing board. It would appear that Brownie invalidated in sector 2. So,
Oh,
just
Dennis!
a ball, Dennis, yeah.
Yeah, that's a slide.
Sorry for looking at you, matey, but at least you've kept it out of the wall.
I mean, he made that
He's
look
got
good though,
number
didn't he?
13.
Let's be honest.
He's number 13. It's unlucky for some. It's not very lucky for him, and he's put a bit too much heat in those tyres now. He's got to be careful. He doesn't put this one in the wall before he gets back to the pit box. He just needs to take it easy now.
But I mean, that slide looked calculated, let's be honest. He made that look so smooth. I mean, it was completely unintentional, there's no doubt about it. But, you know, when you look at it and the way that he just handled the car, he just flicked it round, and yeah, it made a mistake in the first instance to be in that scenario from the get-go, but still really held it all the way around, and very impressive stuff from Dennis. Hopefully he can bounce back from that, chuck on some softs, and maybe get himself in the top 10. It would be great. I mean, like I said, he's had a pretty rough season, but it doesn't mean that he can't pull it back. There's still a big opportunity for him to come back at this, and we're starting to reach the area of the calendar where people start to feel a lot more comfortable. So Dennis might actually come into his element and really push himself further.
Yeah, but last season it was the opposite for Dennis. He started really strongly and kind of just disappeared, unfortunately for him. But I think this year, Francesco's turned up this year. Not that he didn't turn up last year. He's turned himself up a notch, hasn't he? This year, and that really helps. If you've got a teammate that you can work with, who's going really well. So I'm just on board with Copy. He's made a mistake through Stavlo. If your teammate's going really well, it helps you as well because you can go, look, you're doing this wrong. You need to do this. They can give you helpful insights.
Oh yeah.
And how to improve, and it really does benefit you.
Max was getting a little bit wily there, but we also need to talk about Max actually slightly, because Max actually today just got signed by Ozone, who's an esports team, so congratulations Max for that signing. It's great to see that he's starting to progress quite nicely along with his F1 career, I guess you would call it. I think he'd be okay. I think he might actually do well today. He's got a newfound confidence. Hopefully his confidence doesn't turn into arrogance, because if it does, then it will easily send him into the wall, like we said. And you know, he's doing really well for himself. P6, 144.020. Definitely not the fastest lap we've seen from him. And considering he's usually someone who excels when it comes to the qualifying, we do still have 10 minutes remaining, so there's still an opportunity for him to find that time and improve. But really good stuff from Max.
Yeah, he releases his time on the board, which is better than a fair few drivers have done so far. We've only got 10 times on board, but 10 minutes to go, as you mentioned. Plenty of time for people to come back out or make a mistake on a lap, go in, then come back out again. This is one of the longest laps on the calendar here at 1 minute 44s, 43s we're looking at. Race pace in the wet, you're in the twos. So it's going to be a long race, and they've got to get themselves ready for that. Only 22 laps though, but it's still 22 laps of fun, but it can be quite stressful, especially if you get a damage on the opening corner. You've got to get the whole way around this track.
Oh, that's absent. Yeah, that's a mistake and a half there. Just coming out of poo on. I think he's damaged his right wing. Look, no end plate on the right side. Staying out the way. He needs to be careful that he doesn't go too far backwards, because you will get DQ'd for driving the wrong way. And it's quite harsh in this game, to be honest, if you do drive the wrong direction for a little bit too long, as Beaker found out not that long ago, actually, in a different league. It was very interesting, but it happened. So yeah, sadly, Absinthe has got wing damage. We'll have to limp back to the pits, but it's not over yet. Still tons of time for him to improve, and technically could still use the same tyres. He's only done an outlap on them, and that's really not that severe. Yorn, though, currently out there on a hot lap right now. Just started. He's coming up towards Rouge and then up towards Radion. Needs to make sure the exit is clean, and that's perfect.
There you go.
Wow, Mark. 3/10.
Purple sectors in first and second, not in third. That is currently going to Duxie B's the fastest in the third and final sector, but yeah, he's bang top of the times for now. Yorn has not gone faster in sector one. He's really a 10th down. So he's got it all to do for the final 2 sectors.
Yep,
A little
really
lock up
does.
to go with it.
I mean, Jon is rapid. I mean, my criticism for Jon has been that he's actually been someone you can't really rely too much on. I mean, I've been pretty confident when it's come to the qualifying. Right, in the qualifying is where you can't particularly rely on him too much. He is fast. I'm not taking anything away from that, not even slightly. But when it comes to the race, that's where he excels. Okay, he is seriously fast in race. His race pace is almost unmatched in terms of the rest of the drivers here. So whilst he might not start on pole today, I mean, even though I've predicted him to be on pole, he might not start there. And if he doesn't, I still think he's going to take the win.
Purple sector 2, but it's not a huge improvement on Mark's side. So he's got to hit a mighty final sector if he wants to get a provisional pole with 7.5 minutes left. Also keep an eye out on Yonti. He's the fastest in sector 1. Again, not by much, but there we go.
Oh.
So, yeah, he does get it. Wasn't
Yep.
the fastest in the last sector, but he's fast enough. That's what matters.
He's a tenth and a smidge up on Mark, and Mark is rapid. Mark is someone that I look to when it comes to qualifying and just see him chucking insane laps in. I was racing with Mark yesterday on this exact track, and relatively in the same conditions as Jonty, just slightly improves on that. But Mark was just chucking in insane lap times. I mean, I was like 3 or 4 seconds off of his pace in the intermediate tyres. I mean, I suck in the wet weather anyway, let's be honest, but he was just on a whole different level. It was incredible.
Yeah, Copy's just getting a little toe there from Brownie as he's going to try and put in a lap. Now, yeah, going back to what you're saying, he was decent in the qualifying, but then when it came to the race, he just got completely dominated by Brownie. And that's where it really matters. You can't win the race in qualifying. You can definitely... I don't want to say you can lose it, but it's almost impossible to lose it in this day and age in qualifying. Even if you start at the back, you still got a chance to get through. You play your hand right, stay out of trouble, don't get penalties. You can climb the whole way up. We hear people talking about the first and last challenge. It's not impossible. It's hard. It's not impossible.
Yeah. It's definitely hard. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I regularly find myself at the back of the grid whenever I find myself racing, but you know, if anyone's a prime example of being able to pull themselves out of the gutter, I'm probably that person. I stay consistent. I'm not the fastest driver in the world. I stay consistent, stay clean, and maintain lap times as much as possible, and my tyre wear is manageable, and that brings me up to the front of the grid. But at the same time, I do find myself in a scenario where my pace is just lacking. But it's still, I can get points. And if I can get points, these guys can get points.
Yeah, Copy's purple sector 1 and 2, and I suspect we're going to see a new pole time any moment now.
Oh, no. He must have had a rough sector 3 then.
Yeah,
I say rough, but he was only half a tenth off it.
He was 0.3 off the fastest time, which was set by Beaker. That is an actually quite a slow final sector.
Well, whilst we're on the topic of Copy, let's just discuss how incredible his drive has been recently. I mean, right now, he's had a bit of a rough third sector, but that could be down to one mistake. I mean, 0.3. Oh, big wobble there from Max. He's held it. Okay, that was close. Definite brown pants moment there. So he's going to have to reset himself and go again. He's already turned his mode to ERS 0, which is what he needs to do to be able to recover. But yeah, just going back to Copy really quick, who's Max's teammate. Copy has really stepped his game up. His pace has just improved drastically, especially if you compare it to the F1 2018 pace. I mean, me and you were really hard on him last season. We were talking about how he just didn't seem to manage his ERS correctly, and he was lacking pace as a result of that. But we're seeing him completely different now. I don't know if he's necessarily just fixed his ERS. I mean, I'm not really... I've been paying attention to his ERS usage, and it's not really anything that I can critique, but at the same time, it's not been anything I can shout about. So Copy has fixed something that was wrong with his drive, but it's allowing him to be up there right now with the big names like Jon and Yonti.
Again, this comes back to what I was saying about Dennis and Fragioko. Quite often, Copy's teammate is Eniturn. Eniturn is a front-end driver. He'll always be vying for the podiums. And as such, he can then impart his knowledge into Copy. I believe they're both, I think it's Czech, isn't it? So they can communicate so clearly, they can understand. And Eniturn knows exactly what he needs to do to win. And he can impart that knowledge into Copy and go, look, this is how you need to do this lap. At these points, put it in mode 0, or turn your brake balance up, or whatever you got to do at these corners. he can impart that knowledge into copy. That will make copy faster. And just by things like that, just chatting to someone who knows how to be rapid.
Yeah, exactly. But we are now at the moment, which I like to call the calm before the storm, as majority of the drivers, almost all of them, are actually in the pits right now preparing themselves for their final push. You will start to see drivers come out around about now if those want to go for more than one attempt, or if they are worried that they're going to have a rough lap, purely because they're going to need to. It's a long lap. 143s is what the fastest is right now. We're almost breaching into the 142s, which would be just incredible if we could do that, and I think we will, realistically. We're such a close margin to that 142s. We're surely going to see that. But yeah, these drivers prepping themselves with that race strategy. Ultimately, we know that mediums to hards is the most ideal situation, but softs to mediums is doable. And
It's going to rain, don't forget.
yeah, it's going to rain in the beginning, so ultimately, it doesn't matter what you start on. You're going to start on inters at best. So wets could be on the table.
I've been told it's light rain, but you never know. Yeah, we're definitely going to see a 42 here. The theoretical best is a 42.8 at the moment, and that is now a fair few minutes old. So we should now see that time starting to crumble as the track is getting very, very busy. We've got all bar 2 cars out on track. As
Yep, Duxby.
You won't get out in time though.
Duxby is actually on a hot lap right now, coming through that long. I find this corner actually probably one of the hardest corners ever, to be honest. It's just such an awkward corner. It was the long right hand. I can't remember the turn name, but it's the long right.
Turn 10.
Yeah, it's just such an awkward corner, I find. I mean, P1's not exactly the greatest, especially if you do what he's done. Oh, that was a catch and a half. He's holding it. Is he backing out? Yeah, he's backed out.
Yeah.
And Lou's retired, so Lou will not be improving. P14 at best for Lou. And looking at the fact that we've got Dennis, Dan, and Marinello Baby yet to put a time on the board, I would be very, very surprised if we don't see them jump up the order even a little bit. But Vexation's also retired, 143.893, P9 at best. And when those others perform, I think we will see Vexation drop outside the top 10.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, Marinello Baby is on a flight at the moment, keeping my eyes on the time. Dan's your tip for P3, sitting there in 16th. I think you're going to be sitting again. What are you doing, Dan? You're making me look bad. Hurry up.
Well, I think we should have a little wager on it. I think if Dan doesn't get P3, we need to have some sort of forfeit for me. I will think of something later, I guess, maybe. But honestly, yeah, I've seen that big wobble, and he's backed out, hasn't he? He could actually still make it, though. He could still make it. It's going to be tight, but he could still make it.
No, he can't. He's not even at a minute on his lap time yet. He's got to hit the fastest lap ever.
Yeah.
And he's got 30 seconds, and he's just past the minute. So he's done. Where's Dennis? Dennis is just on the camel straight. He's still going. Where is Dan? Dan's just started. I think he just looked like he made a mistake. But it's been my eyes.
No, it's just your eyes. He's doing all right. I believe in you, Dan. You've got this. Straight up Eau Rouge, straight up Radion. Don't worry about it at all. Just hold it planted. This is your time. This is your opportunity to really demonstrate who you are and what you're capable of. Get me that P3. Put yourself alongside your teammate. That would be what the ideal dream is for me. And given the fact that you are now in the most optimal conditions. That's what I said, isn't it? Next to your teammate?
Yeah, you said next to you, want behind.
Oh, I mean, it's P3, you know. 3 comes after 2. It's as close to it as you could possibly get without being a P1.
Yeah, but you wanted Yorn Yonti.
I did. That's true. All right, okay.
Behind his teammate.
Yeah, all right. All right. Point out the flaws in my conversation if you want. But Marinello Baby's retired. He knows he can't make it. Max is also retired as well, and he's going to sit P12 as it stands. 144.020, so didn't get a chance to improve from his time that he did earlier. Dan's currently out there. Where's Dennis?
Spicy's backed out. There goes my P3 pick. Spicy's backed out of his lap. Besty's going to get his P5. Yorn is flying. He's not the fastest, though. Mark has just set the fastest second sector. He's coming towards the bus stop chicane. Frajoko says enough is enough. He's P11 at best. And
Dennis just
doesn't really jump up.
Slightly improves. Does beat Astro Boys, but that's all it's going to be. 144.054. Mark, yeah, hello. 142 there for him. Beaker doesn't get into the 142s. 143.055 timed exactly with Yorn, who crosses the line and doesn't improve. 143.055. How is Dan going to do? When he crosses the line, he goes P14.
Yonti doesn't beat it as well. That's it. Well,
Brownie,
rules.
hello, 143.019. So close, but yet still so far from Mark. But he puts himself there on the front row of the grid. This is going to be a really big opportunity for Brownie to get round Mark as quick as possible and just shoot away. Where's Copy? Across the line, he goes P2.
Oh, it is.
There it is, a 142.969. He separates Brownie and Mark. That is what I want to see from Copy, and I've said it earlier and I'll say it again. Copy has stepped his game up drastically.
He didn't even set personal best in Sector 1 and 2. He hit... It wasn't even the fastest final sector, but he hit the final sector he needed to get himself up there, and he ended up 0.03 of a second off pole position. Top 4, separated by 1/10.
Well, I think both me and you really need to revisit our knowledge banks because we were way off. We didn't even get a single one of them in the top 3. So, Mark, Copy, Brownie is your top 3 with a 142.938, and then 31 milliseconds behind his Copy, and then 81 milliseconds behind his Brownie. And then you have just a 10th away is Yonti in P4. Beaker P5 with Yawn in P6. Spicy P7, Absinthe P8, Duxy B P9. Ashboy is rounding out the top 10. And we're not even yet at the point where we reach the 1 second margin. It's not until you get to Fragioka in P12 where you see just over there with a 1 second 011 on the border. And you got Max P12 and then Dennis P13. It's going to be an exciting one, especially the fact that this is wet. It really starts to really question those that were actually at the top. I mean, you know, we thought Yon and Yonti was going to be up there. The rain is here. Have they gone for a more rain accustomed setup, or have they gone for a dry setup and they just, I don't know, they're just going to make it work?
It doesn't even look that wet, does it? You can see the rain coming down, but there doesn't appear to be water on the ground. We will see the tyres in a moment. I can't quite see the sidewalls from where we're sat, or at least where I'm sat.
Yeah.
But
there is a hint of green.
You could be looking at Mercedes.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at all of them. I can see, obviously, the Racing Point up there. I can see the McLaren there. And it looks like there's a hint of green. I'm pretty sure that's intermediate tyres, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see in a second, hopefully.
Yep. There it is. And here we go. That's definitely intermediate tyres I can see on those cars. Yeah, it is. So, formation lap underway. Obviously, Mark is going to be leading us away, despite the fact that Copy's just shot off ahead. Mark is going to be the one who's going to be starting the race in the prime position, the pole position, as you like. I mean, Copy runs really wide there just to, I think, reset the situation, put himself back together again. But, you know, looking at it, and qualifying was definitely not what either of us expected. Obviously, we didn't predict this even slightly correct. So the question is now is, what's your top 3 for the race, having looked at the qualifying?
Well, I've seen Mark race yesterday against Brownie. Brownie dominated him, to say the least. As soon as Brownie got past, he pulled out all the stops.
Yeah.
Even had a 3-second penalty to his name and still was untouchable. I don't think Mark's going to have the pace to stay there. I do think Yonti's going to come back. I do think Yawn's going to come back. Is Yonti going to be fast enough to beat Brownie? That's the big question. Is Yawn going to be fast enough to get up there as well? He's got a blockade in front of him. I think I'm going for Yonti, Brownie, Yawn.
Okay. All right. Yonti, Brownie, Yawn, you said, right?
Yes.
So I agree. At least for one of those drivers, Mac. You know, I think Yonti is going to take the win. Ultimately, he has it. Yawn is just a bit too far back. Beaker is obviously separating the two drivers, and I think ultimately Beaker's going to do his best because he knows at the minute he just doesn't quite have the pace to be able to stay at the front. So he's going to be holding Yawn back and trying to play a little bit of team orders. Bear in mind, the Haas drivers have got their own race engineer. They have come fully equipped, and he's really solid. You know, he will absolutely do what is required to get the team the points that they require. I think Yawn will struggle. With that in mind, I think it will be a Yonti race win. I do think Brownie will take P2, but I think Copy is actually going to have what it takes to get the P3, especially when it comes to the soft tyres. I think he's going to dominate this race.
Well, we will find out in a moment as they're all coming around the final few corners now, take up their place on the grid. I have a nice collection of telemetry data as well from a fair few drivers, which is very useful. It helps predict pit stop times and see damage that we can't necessarily see. But they are now taking up their places on the grid. Mark, however, this is Spa. Mark starts on the right-hand side, which is not the best side to start on. kind of want to start on the left because then you're on the outside of the corner. Don't want to really be on the inside because you get squeezed up against the wall,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah. I
But
mean,
we'll see
it's an
how it works
awkward
for him.
one. It is an awkward one, and you're right. To an extent, you want to be on the outside if you can, but he's not got a choice, and ultimately he's going to have to deal with what the cards he has been dealt, which is right now the lights being on, and they're about to disappear as we get underway with the drive. Look at that, immediately jump starts left, right, and centre. I saw Yawn in there, so I'm Absinthe in there. Didn't catch the other one, but we are going to see Yawn obviously slingshot past everybody. Try to just capitalize on it, but we are going to see side by side going into turn one as Mark is still there, still battling with Yawn, but Yawn is ahead. Will have a drive through when he comes to the back round again. He's got to do it within the next 3 laps, remember, so he will have to pit at some point, and he's lost control of the car a little bit, gone really wide there in the run-in through Redion, and that is Yawn making big mistakes.
Yeah, I'll double check those penalties for you in a moment. I'm just keeping the eyes on the back of Vexation and Dennis going side by side. There's battles the whole way up the field at the moment as they come towards Lacuna. They're going 3 wide back there nearly, and as Max slots back in, but Vexation has run off and comes back on, nearly taking out Max's rear. Max actually took advantage of that and gained an extra place.
Yeah, and we'll look at the start line. We can see already some people have gained massively out of this. Yawn being one of them, obviously he's going to get penalised for it when he does eventually come through. So ultimately, I think Dan is probably the one who's gained the most out of this. I think he gained 4 places. I didn't see if he was the other person that got that the drive-through penalty.
Definitely got one.
Yeah. I mean, he's still down 2 places, and he's going to have to reset anyway.
Oh, Red Bulls coming close together there. Astros and Absinthe nearly contacting, both losing places. It's not going well for Red Bulls.
No.
Let's have a look at the big gainers so far, or losers. 7 places for Absinthe.
Absinthe is really struggling. If you watch on board with him, he is just all over the track at the minute. He can't find the way through this grid, and that's why everyone's just passing him. And bearing in mind, he has that drive-through as well, so mentally, he's going to be in such a negative mindset, and that's the wrong place to be. It just doesn't help you right now. But we have got Astro Boys and Dennis going side by side, coming towards Blanchimont. They're going to be going literally wheel to wheel all the way into it. Here we go. And it looks like Astro Boys is ahead, but he did run deep. So did Dennis. Astro Boys will get P11. Big dive there from Dennis down the inside into all the bus stop chicane, but somehow it doesn't end up in damage. Fragioco on the back of this as well. Mark obviously setting the fastest lap time. Yawn serving his pit early. Brownie's in there as well and Absinthe. So there's the 3. Vexation has left the session.
That's not good news for Vexation. Brownie's on a drive-through as well, is he?
It would appear that way, yeah. So it's really, really shocking, especially for Brownie. He's the more experienced of the 3, and you really don't expect him to be getting those drive-throughs by speed, jump start in the pit start, and that's awful.
Let's have a quick look. Yeah, so Brownie, Yawn, Absinthe, that is it for the jump starters. No more expected to come in. But, I mean, you can go an entire season without seeing a single jump start. And we've just seen 3 in one race. I guess once you see one person going, people around him go, oh, he's gone, and I'm going to go. You pay attention to the cars as much as the lights. So it's a bit messed up for the people sat behind someone who jump starts. They jump as well.
Yeah. Now, Absinthe will be counting down the seconds and minutes until the rain stops because he is just struggling on this this car in the minute. He did make a mistake going up through Eau Rouge into Radion, and it ended up being a big wipeout, and that's why you can see the gap is... Well, I mean, you can't see the gap because it just says down arrows, but he is miles off the pace in the minute. But that doesn't matter at the minute. He can still pull this back. If he times the pit stop just right... I mean, I mean, you've commentated on races before where we've seen people pit stop from so far back and jump right the way up into a podium position. Yeah, it wasn't on this track, but similar things can happen. Because of how long the lap is here, that could very easily... just swing it for them.
Yeah, this is such a long track. We're doing, well, the first laps were 2 minutes. These are going to be slightly shorter. Let's have a quick look and see what time they're going to do. It is going to be about 2 minutes anyway. That's how long it is. So if the time to change happens as you cross the start-finish line, you've got to go 2 minutes around the track and try and keep facing the right way whilst doing so. And hope you can time it correctly.
And that's it. That's exactly the thing. And it's just so hard to pull that off. But someone who's ready to go is Yonti on the back of Copy. Goes a little bit gingerly up the top, and he's almost lost control, but he's still on the back of him. Got the slipstream, got the Mode 4 activated, ready to go for it. There's obviously no DRS because it's far too wet for any of that. You need all the downforce you can get. Copy's going to be stuck on the outside as Brownie comes into that chicane. He's going to go right the way around the outside, but he's going to have the inside for the next one. And that is Yonti up in a P2. A very calculated, very clean, very surgical overtake there from Yonti.
Yeah, looks like Dennis might have had a little spin. He's just lost the place to his teammate. He was battling with Astro Boys not that long ago, but now he's a bit further back. 2 seconds back from Astro Boys, 2.5 actually, 2.5. So he's obviously made a mistake going into Lacombe, and Yawn is already caught up to the back of Maranello, baby. That just shows how little time he actually lost. He just got relegated to the back of the grid.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's that, but also you can see he is struggling in terms of, the guys ahead of him are struggling in terms of their pace. Look, Lou is really losing it. Maranello is trying to capitalize. Oh, Jan makes a big wobble there, but still catches it. Good maneuver from him to regain control of the car. Maranello is trying to sort of just size Lou up a little bit, and ultimately, if Maranello Baby doesn't put the foot down slightly, he will actually lose a place to Jan here. Jan's just looking for any opportunity he can get, although he is also struggling. It looks to me like Jan's going for a full dry setup. Oh, that is a big slide. He almost hit the wall.
I thought that was curtains on that wall. I think the problem is Jan is now in dirty air, which is affecting his grip, obviously, especially through the faster corners. They just don't have as much downforce in said dirty air.
Oh, Maranello Baby sending it down the inside. Apologies. He's going straight through on the racing point.
Easy.
Nice and smooth overtake there from Maranello Baby. That was very calculated. Jan's trying to get a little bit of piece of that action as well. Going to have the slipstream in towards turn 1, but a little bit of a wobble on the exit means he's not going to get that position done and dusted. We need to go back up to Beaker at the minute. He was actually looking to do the same thing his teammate did on Copy. Is Beaker going to be able to hold it all the way up ready on? He has a little bit of wobble, cuts the corner a little bit. Probably got a warning there, but I don't think there's anything more than that. Dan's also on the back of Max. A little bit more calculated there from Dan. Max is still going to be ahead for now.
Sorry, Dennis nearly had a in the wall moment there. Losing the back end, going up Eau Rouge into Radian. He's held it, but he's lost a lot of time on Vexation that he was trying to battle with as Johan goes past Lou further back.
Yeah, Dan still tried his best, got his nose involved on the overtake for Max, but just couldn't quite pull it off, and he's staying where he is, P8 as it stands, but still, I think he's the biggest gainer, isn't he? 7 places gain? Yeah, he's absolutely loving life at the minute, although he is not far away from Max's, Max's 6.
Brownie's just sent one down the inside into turn 10. That's not a normal place to just casually overtake someone, as he just did to Lou, but Brownie is starting to climb back through. Absinthe is not looking pretty back there, is he?
Now, really, really struggling. Honestly, though, put Absinthe on the dry conditions, watch him fly, because he's just such a good driver in the dry conditions. Might start to pull his way back in, may still even get points as a result of the dry compound, but we're a little bit away from that. Remember, it was 10 minutes before we properly get into this, so it's just ultimately around about lap 6, lap 7, we're going to see the rain stop maybe. But there's still plenty of time to go. So, Maranello Baby on the back of Dennis. Still, Dennis has a little bit of a tank slapper coming round, and that's a little bit of benefit to Maranello Baby. Going to have the drive he needs. Not yet gone for the full beans. Actually decided to turn it down a little bit because he knows how hard Blanchard is to go side by side when you haven't got dry conditions and dry tyres. So, he will actually sit pretty where he is, P13. Yonti, though, sets the fastest lap of the session.
Yeah, he's starting to mount a charge just over a second off the back of Mark. I think most of these drivers, Beaker and Copy swap places. I'm going to interrupt myself there. Yeah,
Beaker actually, I mean, I don't know how he managed to do that, but Copy's right back on him again. But look how close Beaker is. Oh, there's contact going up Rouge into Radion again. Beaker cuts the corner, but he's still on the back of Copy. The slipstream is going to be huge for him now. Max gets a time penalty, but Beaker is looking for the inside move into the chicane. It's going to be a really tough one to pull off because Copy's going to benefit, but Copy backs out. He knows this. He's seen better days, and he's backed out to make sure there's no contact between the two. But that does mean that Beaker is now...
Three wide behind. Marino, maybe Dennis, and you're 3 wide into Lacombe. There's
a
sandwich. It's a Ferrari sandwich. It is. I think it's a damage-free incident, but Jorn might have to give that place back to Brownie because he's just overtaken him off the track.
Potentially. Jorn is
ahead of him.
No, Brownie's had a bit of a mistake there actually coming through. Not quite had the best line through, but there was massive contact between the two of them. Between the three of them. It was definitely a sandwich that Dennis didn't want to get involved in. He's been very lucky to not get any damage out of it. In fact, everyone was very lucky to not get damage out of that, especially Maranello Baby, given the situation.
Oh, front right damage for Dennis, 19%. That is not going to be good news. He's going to be struggling as we go through the rest of this until we get to that pit stop window. He may or may not change it. It's not you have to change it if you got damage, but in the wet conditions, you want to change it. You want as much front end grip, and he's struggling already, even before that damage. So he's going to want to get that changed. I don't think he'll come in this lap, but it's getting towards the pit stop window.
Hold that thought. Astro Boys and Dan going side by side through Blanchimont. Big wobble there from Dan. Actually, almost completely lost the car. There was a slight touch, but Astro Boys is ahead, has the inside line. Dan's going to try and stick all the way around the outside of him. This is going to be a rough line to keep, and he can't get it. Astro Boys actually gets him, and Dan gets a penalty as a result of cutting that corner. Kind of argue that he wasn't quite really in control of it. And there's battle going on between Marinelli Babe and Dennis is in the pits.
Not really a battle. It was Dennis making a mistake into bus stop. Just went really deep. It was the simplest overtake. Marinelli didn't need to do anything. He just drove his racing line. Dennis is in. Fresh cards.
Yeah, well, I mean, look
Still
at the rain
raining.
situation. It is raining physically on the track, but if you look at the cars, there's no spots of rain on any of the halos.
Yeah.
DRS has been re-enabled again. Fragioko's got it.
I've not
I didn't
even
see the
seen that
graphic.
yet.
No, I didn't see the graphic. Oh, big mistake there from Astro Boys. He's going right off the track. He's going to rejoin. Dan's going to be all over the side of him. He's actually going to slip on down the inside. Big contact between the two, but he still held it. Had a little bit of wobble there. And Astro Boys is trying to get involved in this situation again, trying to go side by side round the outside. And so is Fragioko trying to feature in this little battle as well down the inside, but nothing can come of that. Dan will hold on to P8. Astro Boys is trying to force his way through. Nothing changing.
Yeah, I just thought Ball was Spicy. He's going to be one of the first few towards that DRS section. As they are still quite close in the midfield. Battling for the last of the points places. Vexation, after his earlier disconnection, has managed to come back. He's in P11 on the back end of Fragioko. And Jon will want to catch up as well after his incident at Lecombe. But I'm just currently looking at Spicy. Will we see some pit stops here?
Well, I think we're definitely going to see some pit stops, especially if Astro Boys keeps losing his rear like this. But it's actually going to bring Fragioko right into this mix. Remember, there is no DRS all the way up this area of the track, and so that does mean they're going to have to fully utilize on their ERS and their slipstream. And ultimately, Fragioko backs out. I think he's really not feeling comfortable, and we're about to see a lot of cars come in.
Beaker's come in right behind his teammate. And it's going to be a bad news bears for him. Copy stays out.
Yeah.
Thinking it's not quite ready yet. We'll see how that works out for him. But everyone else is in.
See, I know that Beaker's going to lose out here, but ultimately he's not going to lose out that much. If he stayed out and did another lap, I mean, you're about to see when Copy goes round and pits, Copy's going to fall right down the order. I'm calling it now, purely based on the fact of Beaker, yes, he probably lost 3, maybe 4 seconds there in additional for him in that pit stop because he double stacked, but he will still be ahead of Copy, and I think he's going to be ahead by quite a fair few seconds.
Yeah, I've just seen Absinthe to set the fastest Sector 2 time. So it is definitely looking like dry weather tyres. It's only a second faster than most people did previous lap, but it is still purple sector. And it might be a fastest lap as well, even though he's in the pits. It's not, but it wasn't bad.
So, interestingly, there's only 2 of the drivers so far. Copy's still obviously yet to pit, so could go from inters to softs, but there's only 2 drivers that have gone for the soft compound tyre. They will absolutely have to pit again. There's no doubt about it. There's a little scrap going on between Max and Vexation. Max goes around the outside into P9 now. Beautiful stuff from him. Working his way up the field. Fragioko's had a big off there. That's a major loss of wing on the right hand side. Comes back on the track right in front of his teammate. Oh my word, there was almost mega contact. Fragioko really going to be in trouble for that one. If ghosting was off, that was absolutely a Ferrari death for both drivers. There's no way that would have been anything better than that. But luckily for Fragioko, ghosting is on, except for the fact he's going to be limping all the way around the rest of this track down due to that wing damage.
Yeah, I'm starting to work out what the best choice of tyres are in this situation. Obviously, those softs will be coming in again. Will the mediums be able to make it to the end from here? You look at Yonti and Beaker, they've got a very good race engineer. We know that. We know he wouldn't have said mediums if it wasn't mediums, as Dennis has retired from the session. That looks like the wall of... Oh, no, it's not. It's another wall. That wasn't the wall I was expecting. That is the exit of P1.
Very odd. But Copy's in, and you can see now just how bad that is. Here's Beaker coming up to the start line. He's going to cross the line as Copy's just changed his tyres. Beaker will actually just cruise on past him. Yeah, he's going to have a very different braking zone, but at the same time, he's still going to be ahead of him by a good 2 or 3 seconds. In fact, Dan and Duxie B are actually ahead of him as well as they come around the corner.
No,
Actually, Copy's managed to bring himself just out ahead of it, but he's really slow coming out of the corner. He's going to have no slipstream to defend with. There's going to be DRS on the 2 boys behind him. Copy is in trouble here.
Duxby gets a penalty behind as he's trying to keep up the pressure on Dan. Now Dan has DRS. This is as simple as you like. Cold tyres versus warm tyres with DRS. See ya, Copy. Dan is through.
But just point out again, Beaker double stacked in that pit stop run, and he's still ahead of Copy by what's that? 3.8 seconds? Sorry, 3.6. I think there it is. I can't do maths, but yeah, he's about there. But that just shows a huge margin for Beaker to be in that position and still have such a bad pit stop. He's, you know, that extra lap we talked about earlier, it really makes a difference.
Yeah, Copy went for a risk and it massively backfired on him. If it didn't, we'd be singing his praises. So, unfortunately, it is one of those ones that did backfire and it has come off pretty badly for him. And he'll be trying to get these tyres at the end. I'm just trying to find. I'm sorry, I'm looking at tyre percentages here. They're all on negative tyre wear because it's gone down. But we'll get an update. Hopefully, I won't tell you who I'm potentially looking at in terms of getting towards the end because I don't want to give away tactics or anything of drivers.
Well, anyway, we can worry about that, I guess, in a little while. Because, I mean, if you look at Mark's time is just under 150.5, which is pretty slow considering it's on the soft tyres, but the track is still warming up. It's not yet in that area yet. And Jorn, like you say, yes, he's on the mediums, but he might be in a position where he can beat that. Dan's done it, and he's done it on the mediums as well. So 149.787. If, like you said, Jorn is currently chucking in the lap times that he's currently doing, he might actually still smash that. Where is it? Here he comes across the line. It is Jorn, 149.034. So Jorn goes faster than anyone else on the track. And considering him, Brownie, and Absinthe all had to do a drive-through penalty for jump starting at the beginning, he's done well to bring himself back into almost the points.
Yeah, he's only 5 seconds off the back of Brownie, so it's just whether or not he can get those mediums to the end. That is going to be the crucial factor. As I'm going to have some look at some telemetry data, find people who actually have telemetry data, and we'll be able to find out as to exactly whether or not they all get to the end. Duxby's on the back end of Copy. Copy's just fallen off the back end of Dan as well, so he won't be getting some DRS there unless he can find the 10th. But it's a long way to go. There's 2 DRS sections and they are pretty darn close together as Max gets yet another penalty to his name. Yeah,
it's a shame for Max. I mean, like I said, he was riding on the emotion of, you know, a whole new signing. It really puts you in a positive mindset, but yeah, he's had a bit of a rough race, not quite been the pace that he wanted. But if we do look at the situation of position changes, a huge position change for Dan, 11 places gained. That is massive to be in that sort of scenario. Brownie's got 7 places lost. So obviously we knew that was going to happen due to the fact that he had to pit so early on, but Dan has absolutely smashed it this race. Yes, Mark has set the fastest lap. Yonti then smashes that away, and immediately we're seeing the Haas drivers just really come into life, including Beaker, who arguably we have really been and look, fastest lap from Beaker. And then Dan beats it. This is starting to get spicy, and he's down in P7.
I just wonder if Jorn's going to beat it. He did the fastest second sector. Not the fastest first sector, and there you go.
Wow.
So, it's going to be like this for the next few laps, isn't it? It's just going to keep tumbling and tumbling and tumbling until it gets to... I mean, it'll probably come down to 45, maybe?
Potentially. But I mean, look at Jorn's pace. It's just exceptional. Dan was the next fastest driver. He did a 148.288. Jorn did a 147.607. We're talking a full 6/10, almost 7/10 faster than anyone else on the track right now. And that is just insane.
Yeah, he is looking like he's on fire. Quick word on the mediums. They should be okay to go to the end. Obviously, going to depend on how they drive. But my numbers say they all make it to the end unless your name's Fragioko.
Yep, that's both of the Ferrari drivers. The only 2 drivers to actually retire from the session, both of them just sadly being in the Ferrari. It is a shame to be in either of those sort of scenarios. They obviously are good drivers. They're just unfortunate most of the time, especially Dennis. We were singing Fred Gioco's praises earlier and saying how well he could do, but you got to remember, last season in particular, he had network issues, left, right, and centre. He was always lagging around and couldn't really do anything about it. Whereas Fred Gioco now this season seems to have fixed that, and his pace has actually stepped up. But today just didn't work out for him. Will sadly not be able to score any points. Finishes P16.
Yeah. Quick word on penalties. We're halfway through the race. In fourth place, Dan has 3 seconds. If you don't hear the name, they don't have a penalty. If I say the number, it's because I'm looking at their number and they don't have a name on my screen. Dan has 3 seconds. Duxby has 3 seconds. Vexation somehow just did a 12-minute lap. I think there's something wrong on my screen. Down in 12th, Lou has 3 seconds and is still to pit again. And Max, last of the current runners, has 6 seconds of penalties.
So it's getting spicy. It really, really is. Duxby, though, is actually doing really well this week. I honestly, he's really impressed me with his pace just lately. He's just stepped his game up properly and is actually starting to feel a lot more comfortable behind the car, or at least that's the impression he gives me. And currently he's on the back of Copy, who's also stepped his game up massively. But today, it went well at first. That one extra lap that he did on the Inters just cost him a bit too much. Not quite able to deliver the pace he was wanting to deliver earlier, but he is just sort of teetering on the edge of making sure that Duxby's outside of the 1 second margin. We've got a long way to go. Max is out. Max is sadly a DNF from this session.
Sector 1, was that a Rouge?
I think it might be, I think it may just be an Eau Rouge sort of scenario. But yeah, not
a long
yet.
way away from finding it, aren't we? But yeah, that's Max in a nutshell, isn't it? At the end of the day, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Just lacks the race consistency. I mean, he seems to do all right in AOR, but maybe that's because they're all his level. He can race against them. And he's not trying to beat someone who's actually quicker than him.
No.
He actually can race against someone at equal pace.
Yeah. Copy P5 on the back of Dan, actually in a position where he's going to get DRS. It's actually really good considering he was under attack for there it is. Another fastest lap as well. Copy has suddenly found his mojo, ready to go for it now. Mark will have to pit, remember. He started on the softs. It's just not quite double. I mean, even the mediums, we were like, maybe, can they possibly? But they are going to go for it, not regardless of the situation. But Mark will not be able to make it.
I think he's going to try.
I think he's insane if he tries.
I think he's insane as well. I know when he's getting towards the end of those tyres, if you can do some tyre saving in the next few laps, he might make it, but he's going to hit that magical 70% a little too early.
Well, also pointing out, he's done a 1:47.671 as his fastest lap time, and he's on the grippiest tyre, remember?
Yeah.
Those on the mediums have done 1:47.1s, 1:47.4s, 1:47.7s, 1:47.6s. These are fast times, still faster than Mark. I don't want to really take the wind out of his sails or anything, but Mark has really got to think ahead now if he wants to try and pull this out.
Yeah, well, the problem is he went on the softs when it wasn't operating at full temperature, and so his fastest laps came at the beginning of his stint when his tyres were really quite fresh. These medium drivers, their tyres are quite fresh for a little bit longer, and as such, that will help them produce these quick laps they are still doing even now.
Yeah.
I mean, Copy set his fast lap last time around. I'm not sure he's going to go faster again, but I've just seen Yorn's gone purple in Sector 2. He is absolutely nailing out there. He does not want to be outside the points.
So, I don't want to nick the phrase from one Horned Badger, but Mark really needs to treat them like a newborn baby. He has to be so delicate on the softs to just make it all the way around the track and actually survive to the end of this race. But you treat them with delicacy, you're going to lose time. And right now, he's in a position where Yonti is right there on the back of him. Not yet in DRS range, and he's lucky in that respect, but still has an opportunity to do this. Someone who is very much in DRS range is Copy, getting ready for Dan in towards this chicane. Dan goes defensive. Copy knows what he needs to do. He's trying to slingshot around the outside, but he has to back out. There's no way he could do it, but we need to quickly look at Yorn, who's ready for Brownie. Remember, these guys had to do a pit stop earlier. Not quite a pit stop, a run-through, a drive-through, and currently Yorn gets into the points in the top 10.
Easy as you like at the end of the day. He gained a whole second last lap. we're not talking a couple of tenths, a 1 whole second, and that is a long time in F1.
Yeah.
He did a 47.28. Brandon did a 48.26. Absolutely nailing out there. Jorn, I think he might be starting to close up onto Vexation anytime soon. And if I was Vexation Astros, I would be worried that Jorn is on a mission here today.
Yeah, exactly. You've nailed it right on the head there. Jon is going to climb hard, and realistically, he might even get towards P5 territory, depending on how fast he can chuck down pace. He's faster than anyone else on the track right now. No one can compare it. Although, I am watching very firmly Dan and Copy's situation. Well, I mean, that's going to help. Yeah, that's going to help it massively, isn't it? But Yonti chucking in fastest, like 147.1. But keep an eye on Copy because he is chucking in the times. He's closing in on the back of Dan. And Dan is in trouble. Yes, he's Jon's teammate, but he's not going to be able to deliver the pace that Jon is currently chucking in. And Copy is pushing like a madman.
And talking pushing like a madman, Astro Boys, that's his second penalty in as many laps. He's starting to fall to bits as Vexation and AI went fast, didn't he, for a moment, I think.
Yeah.
Somehow, even though my screen doesn't say. I think there's an issue on my screen.
Well, bear in mind 1 second, because Copy's coming at Dan one more time. This time he's got such a close gap and he's ahead now in the running towards the chicane. So Dan is not out of this, bear in mind. He's still absolutely got an opportunity to benefit from this. Copy's really demonstrating he knows how to deploy his ERS this time, and he's worked on that very, very well. Dan is a little bit further ahead. Now, obviously, Copy would have chucked a lot more in it to try and close in as much as possible and actually attack Dan. But bearing in mind there's no DRS now for the rest of this lap, so Copy can charge it, ready for the next time he needs to defend against Dan. But ultimately, Blanchimont is such a slipstream fest, he might still lose out.
Yeah, Yonti's starting to close up onto Mark. Those tyres are not looking pretty on Mark's car. Again, I don't think they're going to make it to the end of the race. They may end up with a puncher on the final lap again. Beacon knows all too much about that at Belgium, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it will haunt him to the end of his days. I think it was season 2 in a different league that he really had a major off and it killed him drastically. In fact, it was probably the most horrific accident I've seen in F1, to be honest. But yeah, Beaker will definitely remember that one until the end of his days. But he's learned from it. You know, he's got a really solid race engineer behind him. He's also got a lot of experience now in league racing, so he should hopefully have learned from that in itself. And hopefully he's been able to manage his tyres just right. And yes, he comes across the line, not set the fastest lap time, but honestly, look at Jorn's pace. He's the only driver until now. I mean, Coppi's just beat into the 146.9s, but Jorn was in there way before anyone else, and the next closest is Yonti after that, 147.1.
Yeah, it's not entirely surprising. As Vexation also, not entirely surprising that he's dropping down. He's in AI at the moment, so. But Yonti passed Mark. There's no surprise there as well, is there? At the end of the day, that was going to happen. Mark really starting to struggle on those softs. He will be able to come in at any moment and put a fresh set of softs on if he doesn't try and get to the end on these.
Yeah.
But I don't know which is worse at this point for Mark. Come in and put some fresh softs on and go flying. Pick up more penalties with these old tyres, but will you finish higher? That's the thing.
Well, let's have a look at the gap to leader. So we think it's around about 19/20 seconds of time spent in the pit lane, which is going to put him way down the order. I mean, we're looking at sort of Jon area, and Jon's just so much faster. Even if he pits and goes onto softs, I don't think Mark has the pace to be able to hold these drivers back or close in on them. Might gain on Astro Boys, might gain on Spicy, but the gap is still pretty severe.
Well, let's see. Is he gonna? No, he's not coming in this lap. He's just gonna stay with Yonti for as long as he can. I think. Try and use that DRS to hold onto the back end of him. But with Yonti pushing in fastest laps, that is not an easy task to do.
No, definitely not. Dan, though, he's really closing in on the back of Copy. We saw, obviously, Copy pass Dan. I think it was a couple of laps ago now. But Dan's bringing himself right into this battle one more time. He's not really in any sort of urgency to pass him. Just needs to manage Copy's ERS. And by saying managing Copy's ERS, I mean he needs to apply enough pressure that Copy feels as though he has to burn the ERS. And in fact, we'll look at it. Mode 2 going up, Eau Rouge Radion, you've actually got Copy in Mode 3. He's burnt a lot more. He's actually switched over to Mode 4, whereas Dan is still sat in Mode 3. going to have the wing open. He even goes to mode 2 because he knows Copy is going to be really feeling this pressure. All that closing in, and he's down now to 22%. Meanwhile, Dan, 51%.
Yeah, the one thing going for him is what we'll come to. Well, let's do it now, since we're not on DRS straight. Let's just see where Spicy is. He's on DRS, yeah. So the penalty rundown quickly is we're on 16 of 22. Mark 3 seconds. Dan 3 seconds. That's B 3 seconds. Then in 8th place, Astro Boys has 6 seconds of penalties. And then it's jumping around, but I think it was Vexation had 3 seconds, but I could be wrong. No, it's Lou with 3 seconds back there. So that's working out okay at the moment if your name is Copy. Because you know that even if you lose a place at the moment, you will still hold it as long as you can hang on the back of that Toro Rosso.
Oh, hold that thought 1 second. Lou's going to send it down the inside. Vexation's realised he's coming, has gone wide just to give him the room allocation. But Vexation still has the car ahead. It's a little bit tight there, that corner, but he's managed to keep himself outside of the wall. Lou still on the back of Vexation on these brand spanking new softs. Will have the grip. Backs out way harder than he necessarily needed to. He could have just lifted and let Vexation get a little bit of a gap just to make sure there's no contact, but there's no changes except for Mark chucking himself in the pits onto brand spanking new softs.
Yeah, let's see where he comes out. I think it was going to be... should be just ahead of Yawn. And it's actually going to be just ahead of Astro Boy, so that's not too bad. P7. And this bunch is quite tightly bound now.
Yep.
Where is it? Oh, he's miles ahead of Astro. He's already on the back of Spicy and going to get DRS to help. Once he gets past these guys, he will have a nice free air to catch up to Dan and Copy. Will he catch up to Beaker, though?
Well, hold that thought just 1 second, because if you look at Yon, he's really close to the back of Astro Boys, although he has insanely low ERS levels. We're talking just in the 10s rather than the 20s, and this is a problem for him to be in. He has to give it the full beans to close in on him. Mark is really closing in on Spicy in an area of the track where tire grip is going to be more crucial here than anything else. He will actually be able to close in and potentially take Spicy before we even get to the run in towards Blanchemont.
I think you might be expecting a little bit too much, but you never know. He does have considerably more grip than Spicy will have as Vexation and Lewis swapping bases towards the back. They're still battling, which is good to see. And there's yellow flags.
Oh, here comes Mark. This is a really tough line to take. He ends up losing a little bit there, but Spicy was under threat from the outside line. Now you're going to see Mark getting onto the back of Spicy in this Mercedes. Yes, Mercedes is supposed to be superior, but in equal performance cars on F1 2019, you are fully reliant on your actual driving abilities. Here comes Mark looking for an opportunity into the bus stop chicane. Gets a lot of pace in there. Is he going to get the acceleration? He might actually get this on the DRS straight of the home straight. No DRS wing is available for Duxie B, so he may potentially lose out, but he's got a good drive, and things are going to stay as they are, at least for the first few corners.
Yeah, Yawn. Oh, that I saw that coming from a mile away. Unfortunately, Mark didn't see where the apex was. Took it very, very tight. Picked up a 3 second penalty. That might be curtains for him. Because he still needs to get... should get past these guys, but he still needs to then get a 6 second lead.
Here comes Jan. Straight up through El Rouge into Radion. Straight on past Astro Boys. It's not a great deal Astro Boys could have done there. A very smooth move from him, but Spicy's actually... I don't know if he's just turned the wick up because of the fact that he's got Mark chasing him down, but Spicy's suddenly on the rear end, on the gearbox of Duxie B and that Williams, and I don't know what Duxie B's going to be able to do to defend this now.
Well, he's just going to hold on. He does have a 3 second penalty, so Spicy doesn't technically need to pass him. Mark needs to pass both these guys and pull up to the back end of Dan if he wants to hold on to any of those bases. But even then, if he gets up to Dan, he will be 3 seconds more penalties than he does. So we'll see how it works out. Fulham, we are still on 18 of 22. Race leader is Yonti. He's got a nice...
Oh, Mark! No, Mark! That's unfortunate. He went for it. It didn't work out for him. He lost a lot of time there. He was going down the inside of Spicy. He just couldn't quite make it. Did get a little bit unstable. Did still catch the car. So good stuff from Mark to be able to catch it. But almost went into the side of Spicy and sent him off into the sunset. But no. Mark is 8 tenths down. Spicy 4 tenths down. Almost 5 on Duxie B, bringing himself closer. Will have DRS. If he can get the exit he needs, he might be able to size Duxie B up in the running towards turn 2, but you don't want to just yet. Remember, Eau Rouge Radion is the ideal place to pass because of the detection line, because of the activation line, and he's looking for it already into turn 1.
I mean, the Camel Straight's the ideal place to pass. Radion Eau Rouge, you don't want to be trying to pass someone through there. You've got to be insane to try and go too wide through that corner. I think Mark Webber showed us how to do that.
He's got to live up to his name, though, hasn't he? Although currently he can't really live up to his name, because if you look at that ERS bar at the bottom right, 3%, and that was after he finished coming up Eau Rouge Radion. It's actually Duxie B goes defensive. He knows it. Oh my lord, here comes Mark. Did not see that coming even slightly, and he's straight up through. Now on the back of Duxie B. Duxie B is going to be seeing that and going, holy crap, what do I do here? I've got a Racing Point chasing me down. Duxie B trying to hold the middle line, making sure that Mark cannot find a way through. That was just sudden for Mark.
Yeah, somehow survived without taking any damage.
Akasa appears to have the robotic voice again, sadly. Hopefully he can quickly fix that for us. But meanwhile, we are going to be seeing Mark coming through Puon on the back of Duxie B. Duxie B is still going to be slowly pulling away, but it's going to be just... much better. Here he is. Welcome back, Amkasa.
I was just going to say, Mark somehow avoided damage. Spicy does have front left damage. I don't think it was from that incident. It might well have been. I hadn't noticed it before, so who knows.
I don't know where he got it from, though, because Mark came down his right side, and that was it. I mean, even we were caught out as commentators. Imagine how he was caught out as a driver, right? He just sees this Racing Point just come tearing it down the inside, slits right through him. Woo, easily done. But look at him now on the back of Duxie B, coming into the bus stop chicane. Needs to get a tight line, can't quite get a mistake. If he gets the mistake, Duxie B will hold this to him, but no. Managed to get a relatively decent exit, still holding on to mode 0 because he knows it's too soon to do it here. Has to wait, has to do what you said earlier, which is take him on the Camel Straight.
Yeah, not in Radion Eau Rouge. I mean, you can. You have the detection point is around here, so you have plenty of time to do it. But Spicy could quite have easily have got that damage last time around. Mark went very deep into the corner. All he would have taken is a little turn in a nudge, but Mark now shows how to do an overtake properly, and he's past Duxie B. And how far off is Copy?
He's
7 seconds.
Fair old way. Well, it's 7 seconds to Dan, but if you look at this battle that's currently ongoing for P2, I mean, P1, sorry, Jonty's taking it, but P2, this battle is getting really hot. We've got 2 laps, 3 laps if you could. The last one, I think we may have lost Vexation. No, it's not Vexation, it's not Brownie, it's not Lou, it's not Absinthe either. Not sure where the yellow flag... it's Astro Boys. He's made a big off there. He's got no wing on that right-hand side. No end plate and missing a fair few elements. He's going to be limping around, and considering he's sat P9 right now, he's about to lose that as Marinella Baby's coming right up for him. A big crash there. Astro Boys is out of this Grand Prix. Will not be getting any points now as a result. And that is sad news for the Red Bull driver, but we cannot draw our attention away from the fact that P2, 3 and 4 are all within half a second of each other.
P4 is pretty much out of this. He has a 3-second penalty to his name, unless these guys in front also pick up a 3-second on the final 2 laps, which, don't get me wrong, it's not out of their own responsibility, but it's not going to be a simple thing for them to do.
No.
Dan will be wanting them to do it, but cool, calm and collected Beaker, yeah, is well, you might. He's had a few clips on Radion, hasn't he? Let's see how he does this time.
I mean, if you look at Beaker, his performance today has been better than I've probably seen him. Oh, that's huge. That is massive. Dan get a 3-second time penalty. Just cuts Radion a little bit too much. He's almost going to lose out now as Beaker is under a threat from Copy. Copy takes that position away from him. Dan might get involved in this just to try and make things difficult for Beaker. And if Beaker does get caught out by this, we might see things fall apart for him. But Beaker, holding on to the final podium position, needs to try and find a way to defend from Dan. But at the same time, reel Copy in. Dan's right there on him, but not going to be able to get it. Beaker sits in P3 for now. Needs to figure a way to get past Copy.
Oh, not hit the wall like that. He survived without any damage. But Beaker doesn't need to fight Dan. Dan has 6 seconds of penalties. Beaker has 0. I'll do a quick final rundown for you. 6 seconds to Dan, 6 seconds to Mark, 3 seconds to Duxie B, 3 seconds to Absinthe, 3 seconds to Lou. And there you go.
Yeah.
If you didn't hear the name, they don't have a penalty. So, top 3, all penalty free as it stands. And I can't see how they're going to get 6 seconds of penalties in a lap and 4 corners.
There is a possibility that they get a 10-second penalty for cutting the final chicane a bit too hard on the inside. I have seen it once or twice in this game. I've been a result of it once or twice in this game. You just cut it a little bit too fine. Beaker actually almost did that. But Beaker is in a very awkward scenario now as we enter the final lap. Remember, Beaker's ERS is really low in comparison to Copy's. Copy's almost got double of what Beaker's got, but it doesn't matter. It's about how he deploys that right here, right now. He knows it. That's why he's gone for Mode 4 in the running towards Eau Rouge. It's 7/10 is the gap. He has to sling it through Eau Rouge Radion. Make sure he gets the exit of Dreams. He's got the slipstream. This might be it now. I don't think he can pull this off. It's just a bit too far, but he has one more chance after this one. That is through Blanchimont. It's going to be a very exciting run into the bus stop chicane.
Battles behind. The Ducks are being spicy there, going at it. Duxby running very low on ERS, pulls out the slipstream. Going to go round the outside of turn 7, and he is through up into turn 6. Into turn 6, P6, but at the end of the day, it is all for now, as Duxby does have 3 seconds and a massive tank zapper to his name.
Yeah, I thought he was dead there. I thought he was absolutely out, but no, he somehow catches that exceptional driving from Duxby to snap that back into gear. Dan, though, ready for an opportunity on Beaker. Beaker's really losing out now. 8/10 is the gap between him and Copy, and he can't quite make it work. He doesn't have to worry about Dan, remember, because he's got the 6-second penalties, except for his physical car on track. It can still kill him. Beaker could end up resulting in DNF in this race if there is a mistake from either of the drivers. But right now, right here, Beaker is turning the wick up to full. He's trying to capitalize on anything he can get on Copy. Copy may make a mistake in the final chicane, but we're not seeing any mistakes from him so far. Yonti is ahead. He's taken the win. We can't draw our eyes away from Copy Beaker. Copy's ahead. Beaker's not got the line. Dan's not got the line either. It's going to be Copy coming to the line first. He's going to take P2, Beaker P3, and Dan will take P4 for now. But with that time penalty applied to him, I think he might actually hold on to it because Mark's got the same, right?
Yeah, Mark has 6 seconds. What will Mark lose? Yawn double jump there. That was a good jump from Yawn. Jumping Mark and Duxby at the line. Salvaging something out of that race. Yeah. And unfortunately doesn't pick up the 3rd win in a row for him.
Well, just think if Yawn hadn't jump started off the beginning, he would have probably taken the win here. He was looking insane. His pace was exceptional. No one was on par with him in terms of pace, and he was just a little bit too far back because of that drive-through penalty he got for speeding off the pit left, the start line. Sorry, not speeding, sorry, for jump starting. And yeah, it did end up costing him quite severely, but Absinthe does cross the line, takes the final points position, a good recovery based on how it was at the beginning. Did get also a jump start penalty, and so did Brownie. Absinthe finishes P10, Brownie finishes P11, with Lou finishing P12. Vexation making his way around the final corner, will make it to the finish line, but will finish P13 as a result. And that is the end of that Grand Prix.
Yeah, Vexation getting punished heavily for just disconnecting, really. Disconnected twice in that race, and that just lost him everything, really.
Yeah, absolutely. But there he is. That's Yonti taking the top step of the podium. We are going to see a Haas podium in a 1 and 3 position with the Renault separating the two of them. But still, we have to really focus on the biggest driver that really took it today. I'm going to ask you, Amkasa, once I've done the rundown in just a second, I want you to have a little ponder on who you think deserves it. But who's going to get the driver of the day? You can bear that in mind a second, whilst Yonti takes the win, 25 points, started P4, jumps to P1. Copy taking P2, started P2, so he doesn't really improve, but stays exactly where he is, and that's a really solid result nonetheless. Beaker, having probably one of the best results he's had in quite a while, started P5, gets P3, finishes off the podium with Dan in P4, gets a lot of penalties, but he started P15 to climb right the way up to P4, so good stuff from him. Spicy takes 5th, with Yawn in 6th after getting that penalty at the beginning for jump starting, managed to recover beautifully. Mark in P7, Duxby P8, Marinello Baby P9, started P17, remember, that's a huge lead for him. Absinthe rounding out the top 10, and best of the rest award goes to Brownie, finishing in P11, Lou in P12, Vexation P13, and then your DNFers were Astro Boys, Max, Fragioko, and Dennis. And the final question for you, Amcasa, is who is your driver of the day?
I think it could go through the Copy or Dan. Not Copy, Yonti or Dan. Yonti just drove an amazing race, finished so far ahead of everyone. No real issues for him. But Dan had a great recovery. It's come from 15th, benefiting obviously from those drive-throughs at the start. but played it to perfection. And if you hadn't had those penalties, he could have been on the podium here today.
Yeah, 100%. And I think Dan, I do want to say Dan is the driver of the day. I mean, for me, he's a definite contender, but he did finish P4, and it didn't help the fact that he did have the 6 seconds of penalties. I would like to have seen a cleaner race from him and potentially even really sizing Beaker up for the final point of the podium. But yeah, I agree with you. Yonti does take the driver of the day overall. But that is it for the European Racing Series. Thank you, everybody, who tuned in for it. It's been an absolute pleasure to commentate for you. I've been Ben Raggy McConnell. This has been Jamie McCaster. As always, Jamie, you're a legend. Thank you so much for commentating with me. And